The Hawks lose 4-3 in overtime to the Ottawa Senators, but Ryan Donato stays hot and the trade winds continue to blow. Join us next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson here today. Mario Tirabassi will join us in a little bit from the United Center after his locker room duties are all handled. Hawks lose 4-3 to the Ottawa Senators in overtime, and those dastardly refs screwed us again. Not really. We'll get into all of that. Trade winds blowing, like I said. Ryan Donato scores again. So there's some good, some bad. We're going to get to all of it. Before we do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. We'd appreciate that. Be sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, thank you, first of all. Then make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite app. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And then Venmo, Greg and I, each $1,000.
I'll settle for $900.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not greedy.
That's fair. I mean, we don't ask a lot. We really don't.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, we'll give some to Mario, probably. All right, let's get into this one. Hawks lose 4-3. They get goals today from Donato, Teravainen, and Craig Smith. Ottawa gets goals from Tkachuk, Perron, who I forgot's in a freaking league, and of course he scores on the Hawks. Josh Norris and Tim Stützle, his 20th in overtime. And let's start there. That's the overtime winner. Stützle drives in on Wyatt Kaiser and just kind of outmuscles him, and the puck goes off of his skate behind Soderblom. They review it. The goal stands. I know it's frustrating, but I think that's the right call.
Yeah, because some people wanted to argue goaltender interference, but he lost his footing because Wyatt Kaiser is yanking him down by the shoulder pads.
Right.
Or someone say he kicked it in. Well, again, his foot is out there because he's being yanked down by Wyatt Kaiser by the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
I'm going to preface this by saying Wyatt Kaiser had a pretty good game tonight.
Sure.
But that play was stud veteran forward versus rookie defenseman. Not sure. I mean, maybe the thought line is Sorensen's putting Kaiser out there to start, that early in overtime as a reward for playing so well. Just didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids have to play in these situations eventually, but my first thought was like, I'm not sure why Wyatt Kaiser was out there right there, but then as you let it settle in and now we're 10 minutes later, you're kind of like, all right, yeah, he played well. Give the kid a shot. He's got to, if he's ever going to be the player you want him to be, he's going to have to play in overtime at some point. But that, again, is part of you make the Seth Jones trade, then other guys then have to pick up that void that he leaves because prior to Saturday, Seth Jones always gets the first shift of overtime.
Right.
And I don't think Tim Stützle is out-muscling Seth Jones like he did Wyatt Kaiser there. So a teaching moment, a learning lesson, that's what you want for your young players.
I'm fine with it.
Like, if that happens, in a meaningless game in February of 2025, and March, we're in March, it's not even February anymore.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
That's what all this stuff is for.
Thank you. Appreciate it. My 17th, 29th birthday. So those are what those moments are for. So if that means he's out there in overtime in May of 2027 and makes the play because he, in a playoff game or just in a meaningful game, these are when those plays are okay. But now if you put him out there in overtime, another time, the next time, and the same thing happens, and then it happens again, then you're like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, let the young players...
Kids need to make mistakes.
And this is what we all wanted, right? We all want the veterans moved out. We want the kids called up, maybe a little sooner than they're totally 100% ready. And these are the sort of things we're going to see. You're going to have these lessons learned the hard way, but it's okay. It's okay. I'd rather have Wyatt Kaiser learn that lesson in overtime against Ottawa in March of 2025 than TJ Brody.
True.
Maybe stop Tim Stützle on that one and the Hawks get a meaningless point, right? Yes, of course, wins are good. We want that. It's more fun. 3 in a row would have been great. But they put together a solid performance against a team that is playing for their playoff lives. Ottawa's bringing everything they could tonight, and the Hawks, they were outplayed, but it wasn't by a huge margin. It wasn't anything like the last couple games have been in terms of shot discrepancy, shot attempt discrepancy. It was more of a balanced game for the Hawks, a little bit sloppy, but more balanced. So fine, I'll take a kid learning a lesson in a bad, in a less than ideal situation than just putting a vet out there and maybe having a slightly better chance to win. Wyatt Kaiser will probably not make the same mistake again.
You hope not.
Right.
So yes, you can't learn from mistakes if you don't make them. So I'm okay with that. I had said, we're watching that overtime goal, and my first thing is like, why is Wyatt Kaiser out there? That's just the immediate reaction of, damn it, they lost this game. Now, but then you take a couple minutes and you let everything kind of matriculate back in your brain, and you're like, okay, I'm fine with that. That's okay. And I know a lot of people, the Hawks didn't look happy. It'd be interesting to see what Sorensen says about the play and about the ref's decision. But I think looking at it, it was the right call. There was just, if you say disallow goal for a kicking motion, then the Senators are on a power play because Wyatt Kaiser should be called for, a holding penalty there.
Right.
So pick your poison. But yeah, it was, the Senators needed two points tonight. They came into tonight 1 point out of a wild card spot, and they've lost 6 of their last 7. If you're going to be a playoff team, you can't leave the United Center against this Blackhawks team with no points. You absolutely
100%.
can't.
Yeah, 100%.
They had to win that game. Overtime wasn't even good enough. Loser point wasn't good enough. They had to win. And Tim Stützle is stud. I haven't seen a lot of him in person. Obviously,
he's good.
They only play here once a year, but I didn't realize how he's got some red ass in him. There was that when Tkachuk got the interference penalty in the first period, he was mixing it up with Vlasic trying to get a retaliation penalty, and he dumped somebody on their ass behind the net later in the game. I forget who it was. Might have even been Slaggert. He's not afraid to mix it up. He's a big boy with skill. I have no doubt in my mind if that's the redraft, he's going number 1 overall.
All right, Mario sent in Pat Maroon, and he just said play ASAP. So we're going to play that in a second. But before we do that, real quick, the Hawks in 2 years, 3 years, Ottawa?
You hope. I mean, if Kyle Davidson wants to be very aggressive, you hope next year maybe, or at least you're playing in games that mean something now,
which was supposed to be this year,
right? You're not 1 point out.
Yeah,
they better be.
Yeah,
in 2 years, 3 years.
But you see, with Ottawa, you see what's coming from them. Jake Sanderson is an awesome young player.
Jake Sanderson is what the Blackhawks are hoping Lev Shinnoff turns out to be.
Stützle's a star. Norris is really good. They've got a lot of nice young pieces on that team.
Because they're really good too.
But because they're Ottawa, they don't get a ton of attention outside of Ottawa.
Right.
And of course, Brady Tkachuk. All right, this must be red hot if Mario is saying play it ASAP. I can tell by the transcript that this begins with Pat Maroon talking about the overtime goal. Here it is, Pat Maroon postgame.
A good goal or a kick?
Seems like we've been on the other side of those a lot this year. And unfortunately, I don't know, it seems like he drives him back in the net. And the only reason he gets turned around is because he runs into the goalie and unfortunately hits the skate and goes in. So, I don't know. The boys played hard tonight. We battled back. We're stuck in there. But again, we don't know. Those calls can go either way, and it seems like they're not going our way this year for some reason.
In that regard, does this feel like a good point? I mean, the way you did battle back and, and were able to get the game to overtime in the first place?
Yeah, I think we've been playing great the last 3 games. We should be proud of ourselves, but I think we talked amongst the group, like, going forward here, we want to be about 500 going in, to the end of the season here. So we want to battle as much as we can, and we want to play good hockey and build good habits and, play the right way and learn how to play the right way for a long period of time instead of just one game at a time, you know what I mean? And then we have 3 bad ones. So the boys stuck with it tonight. They're a desperate hockey team, as you guys know. They're fighting for a battle spot, so we got their best tonight, and I thought we handled it pretty well.
What did you see in your goal? Or Smith's goal?
I don't know. I dangled them and got the rebound back and saw Smith in the slot. There's nothing much to it. But yeah, it was a good high flip. We talked about pushing the pace, and I was jumping and got a bouncer. Guy tried to bat it down, and I got a bouncer I saw in between the stick and trying to lift it, but unfortunately I got the rebound back and Smitty followed up in the play and got the goal. So obviously for us, though, I think we just got to continue to moving forward here, keep playing good hockey, sticking with it, and that's a big thing.
What can you say about Donato and Teravainen at this point? They've just been
yeah, they're hot right now. It's instant. You got to give it to Dono. Dono works his butt off every single game. He gives it 110%, and he gets rewarded by doing that. And he's a hell of a player, and he deserves everything he's got right now, and he's getting rewarded by it. And he's a guy that probably a lot of these guys probably should look at. He's just a hard-working guy that continues to do it every single night, and and Table's just a smart defensive, offensive player, offensive-minded. Sees the game really well, always in position, and never hurts the team. And he finds ways to get it done. And he's just a solid hockey player that his tendencies kind of take over a little bit. His hockey sense takes over, and he sees the game so well. And they're reading off each other pretty well. And Mickey's got the speed and the tenacity, hunt pucks down, and the line chemistry is pretty well right now, so it's been fun to watch.
It's a 16-point streak for Donato. Do you worry that he's making himself too attractive this week?
I think I'm going the other way with that. I think we should sign him. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's not up to me.
It's not up to me either. It's above my pay grade, so I can't tell you that. But he's earned every right, and obviously teams are talking. His name's been in the media throughout the last couple of weeks, and he's earned that. But he's also earned the right to make a decision where he wants to go. Right, so he's having a heck of a year, and he deserves it. So I would like him to stay, but it's not, like I said, it's above my pay grade.
There it is, Pat Maroon stumping for a new contract for Ryan Donato. Man, I love Pat Maroon. I know there's no reason to bring him back, but I just enjoy him. I enjoy a big man with hands.
Yeah.
I should think before I talk, maybe.
Out of context, CHGO. Calling out of context, CHGO. There are a lot of reasons to like Pat Maroon, but I also get why people are like, oh, God, why is Pat Maroon playing?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that goal tonight shows you what he could do. He's got mitts.
Skill.
His teammates absolutely adore him.
Yes, they do.
And he's a guy that is just tells you exactly how he feels. He's doing all the podcasts. He had some interesting things earlier in the year, earlier in the week about the Seth Jones trade and saying Seth is bitter, all that stuff. I know a lot of people think he might be a coach one day. Pat Maroon is
Pat Maroon is I'm going to live on a boat kind of a guy.
That, or he's going to be Biz with better hockey thoughts.
Oh, that won't be hard.
So yeah, he likes his buddy Ryan Donato, and he was a spot on that he's a guy that the young players can learn a lot from. So I'm sure we're going to get into the Donato stuff as we go on in the show. A lot to talk about, and everybody has their stance, their opinion, and Pat Maroon is on team re-sign Donato, and that's a pretty good side to be on.
It's my side too, so I like it. Hey, do us a favor, if you've not done it yet, hit the like button. Time to tell you about the 3 stars of the game. Third star was Ryan Donato, who scored his 23rd goal of the year, set up by Landon Slager. Really nice stick handling move. Patience from Donato. He is a guy playing with supreme confidence. Josh Norris and Tim Stützle were 2 and 1. So here are your nominees for the 4-star of the game. Get your votes in, and we'll reveal the winner, if I remember, at the end of the show. I've been bad at doing that since the Four Nations face-off. Teuvo Teravainen, with a goal, has now tied Connor Bedard for the team lead in scoring. Connor Murphy, he became Seth Jones tonight. 20-56, 3 shots, 6 shot attempts, 3 hits, and 2 block shots. Connor Murphy out there being that veteran leader on the ice and just doing everything he needs to do to get a win. Pat Maroon with an assist, 2 shots, 2 more shot attempts, a 65% Corsi and 72.54 expected goals. That's wrong. That is Connor Murphy, those Corsi numbers. So add those to him. For Maroon, it was an assist, 2 shots, and 4 shot attempts. But Murphy had an outstanding game possession-wise, too. So he definitely deserves mention. So get your votes in, and we'll reveal the winner at the end. We do have to hit the break zone. Again, hit that like button. We'll be back in a moment on CHGO Blackhawks. And your crotch be stankin'. All right? Get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. It's safe to use anywhere on your body, from your pits to your butt crack, even your feet. If you got stankin' feet, rub some Mando on your feet. You're going to smell delightful all day long. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. I can read you all these talking points. I can tell you about the science. I'm just going to tell you this. I use Mando exclusively. I wear it every day. Put it on the pits as a big man. Put it on the underside there. A little bit of the small of the back. Wherever you have a sweating problem, Mando's great, and it lasts from the minute I get out of the shower in the morning. I sleep with no shirt. I'm giving way too much detail today. Yeah. But I wake up in the morning. I sleep with my head here, still smelling fresh. After almost a full 24 hours in the Mando, it's awesome.
I'm getting a lot of weird mental pictures in my head during this read.
It's your birthday. I do special things for you. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can try them at Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. Or for the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Their starter pack is perfect for new customers. Check it out. You'll get free shipping and 2 free products of your choice. And as a special listener for our listeners, you get $5 off that starter pack with the exclusive code CHGO at shopmando.com. That equates over 40% off your starter pack. Again, that's shopmando.com, and that code CHGO to save $5 off a starter pack. It's great. Let them know we sent you. Go shop there. We would really appreciate it. And if you're into daily fantasy, and I know a lot of you are, Prize Picks is so much fun. We do it all the time. It's not complicated. You don't have to understand overs and unders and you know, all these weird things you have to do on these betting sites. This is daily fantasy. So you log in for the Hawks-Utah game. You think Logan Cooley's going to have more than or less than half a point. You think Connor Bedard's going to have more than, less than half a point. You think Spencer Knight, who is the confirmed starter on Friday, is going to have more than, less than 25.5 saves. That's how you play. That's it. It's more than, it's less than. You get your Prize Picks in. It is a ton of fun, and they've got great deals going on all the time. All you have to do, again, is pick more or less on a few player stats, and the more you pick, the more you win, up to 1,000 times your money. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your accounts this sports season. And get a load of this. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that could lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday yesterday. It's great. Download the app today. Use code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, use the code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. It's awesome. Do it. And now it is time for What's Brewing, presented by Sam Adams American Light. And What's Brewing is Alex Ovechkin is 10 goals away from Wayne Gretzky's record. It's going to happen.
He was on pace to break it against the Blackhawks on April 4th. I don't think he's making it that long.
It might not take that long.
There's at least 10 games between now and then. I think 15 or Like, yeah, I don't know. He may already have it broken by the time the Hawks.
It would not shock me. Hey, we were blessed to see number 800 in person.
A hat trick for 800 in person. That game's in Washington. The Caps have already
put some shekels on that game, too.
You did.
That was fun.
You did. You bought tacos the next day.
I believe I did.
Good memories.
Let's live in that time.
Speaking of memories, there are a lot of things I miss about not being here every day.
Yeah.
One thing I don't miss is some of the just absolute nonsense that goes on in this chat.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna acknowledge anything specific. I'm just gonna say, stop being stupid sometimes.
Our chat knows it.
Yeah,
our chat.
Our other regulars know, but my God, some of the things people under the cloak of being anonymous, what we'll say in public, it just blows my mind. Anywho, let's get back to the hockey.
Let's do that. Let's talk about Ryan Donato as we sort of transition away from this game into the trade deadline. Lots of trades happening, lots of things percolating. If you miss it, Frank Saravalli was a guest on the pregame show on CHSN and had some thoughts on Peter Mrazek, on Ryan Donato, and Lucas Reichel.
There was a Mrazek tidbit out of that Sorensen postgame too.
Yes. Let's do that first, actually, because it looks like
it's a quicker conversation too.
It's going to be Knight and Soderblom, and Mrazek is going to sit.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, yeah, and then that's how it should be, honestly. So Spencer Knight, Alfred Soderblom is the tandem. I would prefer that it's like Knight 2 out of 3 games and Soderblom in.
At least.
But, those guys have earned it. Spencer Knight's the best goalie on your roster. You need to play him.
Yep.
Soderblom's been very good. You need to play him. Peter Mrazek has not been that great this year. And he's also not been healthy for a lot of the year. I know basically Frank Saravalli has reported that the Blackhawks are aggressively trying to find a home for
just take him.
Mrazek, and they're willing to give him away for
just
free.
Take him.
The problem is his $4.25 million salary and another year. You would have to find a third team to retain, maybe send a third-round pick to somebody to retain.
Toronto gave the Hawks a first to get rid of him.
But it was only 1 year, and it was at the draft.
Yes.
And I'm not giving up a first to get rid of him. I'll wait to buy him out. If he's unhappy,
I agree
that's
with that.
too bad.
If no one's willing to take him on, and you could find a third party to eat salary if you have to.
I never cheer for an injury, but at this point, if you're Kyle Davidson, you're crossing your fingers that a Stanley Cup contender gets a catastrophic goaltending injury tomorrow, and they need somebody.
But I mean, if you find a team with a buyout slot, right, and say, look, like, we're going to give you a 4th-round pick to take him off our hands, play him a little bit, buy him out in the summer. Whatever, let him find work. He will find work, not for the money he's making,
right?
But next year, someone will sign Peter Mrazek for $1 million.
There's some team. I mean, you almost wish the Arizona Coyotes were still here because he'd be the perfect guy. Exactly. Now they're in Utah and they want to win. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think there's going to be a trade. Mark, I'd be shocked if they find somebody. Never say never. Somebody that's out of the race that has cap space can do Davidson a solid here.
Go back through the history of the Blackhawks and find every future considerations trade ever made and be like, hey, Buffalo. Hey, Golden Seals. I mean, remember back 40 years ago?
You'll have to talk to teams that are way out of it. That are in the hey, if the Ducks trade John Gibson, do you want Peter Mrazek?
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know, but do I feel bad for Peter Mrazek? A little bit, because I like Peter Mrazek. He's a good guy, fun guy in the locker room, good guy to talk to. But the bottom line is, if you wanted to keep playing, you should play better.
That's it.
You're the worst goalie out of the 3. The other 2 guys have futures with this organization. You were originally signed 2 years to be the bridge to Comezzo. Plans change. Sports is a fluid.
And now you're the bridge to Spencer Knight. Thank you very much.
And
your purpose has been served.
That bridge has been crossed, and it's been blown up behind you. So you gotta. Sorry, Peter. You're a heck of a guy. You've had, you had a really good year last year. That's what got you this contract now. In hindsight, it's now biting the Blackhawks in the butt. But you can afford to sit him for the rest of this year to play Spencer Knight.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And you figure it out in the summer. You either buy him out. You're probably going to buy out Brossoit too.
That's the thing. So now and you want to buy out Brody. So if you're buying out all three of them,
that's why you've
got no retention spots anymore.
No, those are two different things.
Oh,
but you're only allowed a certain amount of buyouts.
That's
the
right.
same thing. They're two different things.
Yes, but they are. It's a different list.
Yes,
Good.
But you're
it's the second time I made that.
You're losing the Blackhawks legend Josh Bailey buyout, so you have a slot. I don't know how many you're allowed though.
Whose time did you enjoy more, Josh Bailey or Laurent Brossoit? Who has earned Blackhawks legend? That should be our poll. Who's the bigger Blackhawks legend, Josh Bailey or Laurent Brossoit? At least Brossoit has a helmet in the locker room.
I mean, Brossoit has actually put on a practice jersey.
Yeah.
Once.
All right, he wins
once.
All right, basically what the Hawks are trying to do is find anyone that will take Mrazek. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Hawks sweeten the pot for somebody to say, hey, make this happen for us.
Buy him out in the
Here's
summer.
a fourth. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Donato. Nothing totally that you don't know already, but this is from Saravalli. The Hawks are pretty much dead set on a first-round pick. And it does seem a little bit now that they might be. I know last week I reported that it was pretty much as good as done. I don't know if the Seth Jones trade has changed things a little bit because they went and got a good young player. They might opt to keep him if they don't like the return. I'm not sure. I think it's fluid, but you have to imagine there's going to be a lot of teams calling interested about Ryan Donato, and a bidding war should begin.
One of those teams got an up-close and personal look at him tonight. He's been connected to the Ottawa Senators a lot. Any team that needs middle six help wants Ryan Donato.
Which is everybody.
And guys like Gustav Nyquist or Thomas Tatar, I can't remember which one.
Doesn't matter.
And Trent Frederick, they're gone. They got second-round picks for those guys. Jake Evans re-signing with Montreal takes another guy off the market. And I wrote about this today on Chicago Hockey Now. I don't know if you've ever heard of that website.
I have.
It's a good website. You should check it out. I wrote about Donato there and said, sell high or don't sell at all. So I think it's starting to sound like that's exactly what's going on. Kyle Davidson has set his price high, and if it's a first-round pick, and I know we all love Ryan Donato, but, man, if we were to go back in time in October and say, hey, Kyle Davidson's going to get a first-round pick for Ryan Donato in March.
Oh, my God.
Everybody would be like, put this guy in the Hall of Fame
already. There'd be a statue built already outside the
exactly.
UC. Yeah, 100%.
So, and here's the thing, and I know, and that's my stance on Ryan Donato is if the return is that high, you have to take it. And if not, if you don't get your asking price, you keep him, and then you see if you bring him back, and that's great too. And then you said you still want to keep him. And my theory is, well, okay, say you get that first-round pick. And so then you take that first-round pick, and then you have the Panthers' first-round pick from the Seth Jones trade.
Or Toronto's pick this year that you have.
Either one. You've got all these extra first-round picks. Say, hypothetically, Mitch Marner, the Maple Leafs can't re-sign him. They want to do a sign-in trade like the Flames did with Matthew Tkachuk.
Yep.
And then you take that first-round pick you got for Ryan Donato and turn it into a Mitch Marner. You take obviously a lot more.
Right.
Or hypothetically, say Kyle Connor, who's going into his last year next year with Winnipeg, says, I'm going to test free agency. I don't think I'm coming back to Winnipeg. That is a realistic scenario.
Yeah, because it's where people go to. I mean, it's where hockey stars go to die.
Or never be acknowledged.
They're in obscurity. Kyle Connor should be a superstar in this league.
Right. Say he says he's going to test free agency. All of a sudden, Winnipeg's like, well, then we're just going to trade you. You've got 3 extra first-round picks. So if you we love Ryan Donato, but if you get a first-round pick for him and you package that first-round pick with all this other stuff you have to get a superstar-esque player to play with Connor Bedard, nobody's going to miss Ryan Donato.
100%. All right, we got to hit the break zone. Mario will join us shortly. We're going to knock out any super chats we have before that. Do us a favor, hit that like button already, right at that 150 mark for likes. Come on, it's Greg's birthday. Let's get up to 175 likes for Greg's birthday. We would appreciate that. Back with Mario and your super chats next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. I want to tell you about Lucy. It is 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. Lucy Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Ooh, that sounds fun. Each pouch holds a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. Set yourself up with a subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. It's available in tons of different strengths, different flavors. If you're someone that maybe you're a smoker and you want to change things up, you want to eliminate that part of it, and you still want that nicotine, Lucy is the way to go. Let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/CHGO and use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy. If you change your mind, that's great. Again, that's lucy.co and use code CHGO2025 to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical, as you know. And if that's not your game, that's fine. Different strokes for different folks, they say. I just made that up. No one's ever said that before.
Oh.
Like Mailbag Monday, I made that up too. Different strokes for different folks.
You're a genius.
If you haven't noticed, everybody, the world's a little crazy lately. And maybe we're all looking for different ways to unwind. And my go-to are Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies. I got to say, I've sampled a lot of gummies in my time.
I don't believe you.
The cornbread ones, they stay soft. They're actually delicious. Sometimes I have to remind myself that it's not just
candy.
It's not candy.
I can't eat this whole bottle.
Right. It's like me with the bathroom candy, a.k.a. Tums. It's not candy, but the cornbread hemp is delicious. It stays soft. It's wonderful. And if you've been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort, their CBD gummies are formulated to work with your body, not against it. That is an interesting theory. Have you tried everything under the sun for peace of mind? It sounds like it's time for you to try Cornbread CBD gummies. Right now, they're offering CHGO listeners 30% off their first orders. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO. Use that promo code CHGO at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/CHGO and use the code CHGO for 30% off your first order. This is the good life. All right, Mario is standing by. I know we want to hear from Sorensen today because there's a lot of interesting stuff, but do we have any super chats we need to get to quickly? $7 from Week to Week Hockey said just won $500 on a scratch off ticket. Figured I would share. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
And Zavira Fishing says would love to see Kyle Davidson draft Misa with our pick and trade up for either Martone or McQueen. If not, go all in for Rantanen or Marner. Huge fan of the show. Thank you. Okay. I'm down with all of that. And that's what you're talking about. Those 2 first-round picks can also be used to trade up in the first round.
Sure.
For another pick.
I mean, I wouldn't hate that, but I'd rather use those picks to get a legit NHL winger for Connor Bedard right away.
That would be wonderful. But that could be Michael Misa. It could be Parker Martone.
It could be. We'll find out.
All right, out to the UC we go. Mario Tirabassi is standing by. Just got out of the locker room. We did play Pat Maroon. We saw him campaigning for the Ryan Donato extension. We're going to play Sorensen when we let you go. So what else do we need to know about the tenor in the locker room after their 4-3 loss to the Senators?
Yeah, I mean, well, you heard it with Pat Maroon. I mean, their goal this season is to finish the year with 500 level hockey, and you get the point tonight for going to overtime. But the way that the game started was slow and was sloppy, and it was kind of not exactly what we saw from them in the last 2 games. But they got to pick it up midway through that first period. You get out to a lead, and then you're in a battle with a team that's fighting for a playoff spot. And I think there were some bright spots from the group tonight. You get out to a 2-1 lead, and then you're down 3-2, and you battle back, and you get it to overtime. And the overtime goal is frustrating as all heck. But I mean, you're on a 3-game point streak now. You really would have loved to have seen that group be able to pull out the extra point, get the OT win. But going into Friday, going in the next 2 days, really, with the deadline being Friday, you're still feeling pretty decent about this team and where they're at, and what they're trying to accomplish now as you get through basically, the trade deadline as a marker point in the year, and then what you're hoping to see from the group that's left over in the final 20 or so games.
Well, we were talking about it, obviously a disappointing outcome, but you're happy with the way they played overall. A little bit sloppy, but, they hung in there with a team that needed these 2 points desperately, and a little bit of a learning experience for Wyatt Kaiser. I'd rather, again, have him learn it than have TJ Brody out there. And, this is what part of the rebuild is, and it's these learning lessons for these young players. So I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, and then, if you look tonight, Ethan Del Mastro, I believe, led the team, if not all defensemen, in ice time tonight. And he's been really good these last few games, and that's what we've been pounding the table for basically all year, is letting the younger guys be able to grow and develop. And yeah, he benefited from being in Rockford at the beginning of the year, but the steps he's taken from being a rookie last year, the first 2 games that we got to see him in the NHL at the end of last season, and then how he's progressed from the AHL to the NHL this year, like that's what I think Blackhawks fans have been dying to see is examples of the rebuild and the progression and the development going in the right direction. And I think you're seeing that with a number of guys. Landon Slager had another good effort tonight, and yeah, I mean, Wyatt Kaiser had some learning experiences tonight. Colton Dach had some learning experiences tonight. But Ethan Del Mastro, I think he's one of those guys that the last few games have been really positive. And, as we get to this point in the season, that's the big things that you want to see to hang your hat on going into next year, especially with the young guys, is, they're taking the right steps in the right direction to give you, some confidence going into next year.
Real quick to your point about Del Mastro, he was third in ice time, but it was a matter of seconds. Martinez and Vlasic played like 21:40, and he played 21:20. But so he was right there getting top minutes. Yeah, it was
right there. Okay,
official. Yeah, but he was right. Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
yeah, they got Vlasic and Martinez got to play on that power play. That
right,
was pretty much the difference.
That's it.
Was there any chatter about Tavo after the game and his he's had just such a great streak. I think it's 33 points in the last 32 games. Basically a point per guy a game for the last couple of months, and now tied for the team leading points. Was there any feedback on his performance tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Maroon gave him some flowers, and Andrew Sorensen, I think, is continuing to give guys like Tavo and Donato some good recognition because of how they've been playing and being in those veteran roles, and that's what you want to see. I mean, we've kind of talked about it over the last half of this season since Tavo has kind of been getting out of that streaky play and been a bit more consistent, especially recently, just how he's kind of been carrying the team. He's now caught Connor Bedard in the team lead in points. And I think if you had said by the trade deadline, Connor Bedard and Teuvo Teravainen were going to be tied for the team lead in points, I think you would have assumed, that the Blackhawks might be in a playoff hunt if the preseason expectations were being met, and then B, that they probably were playing on a line together. But none of those things are happening. But it has been individually good to see Teuvo continue to be able to play at the level that he's at. It's really, that line has been clicking with him and Donato and Mikheyev. I know Foligno's been in there too when he was healthy. And I got a chuckle out of it with Andrew Sorensen this morning at the morning skate about why Teuvo hasn't played with Bedard. And he said, well, because the Teuvo, Mikheyev, and Donato line has been working. So simple as that. I mean, and Donato, again, continues to up his trade value and or up his re-signing in Chicago price tag. Whatever way it is, the value is going up the way he's been playing. So those two guys, yeah, I mean, they've been really pushing this team the last few weeks.
All right, I know we want to get Sorensen in, and I know we got to talk a little bit about Connor Bedard. So are there any nuggets or tidbits we need to know before we let you go?
Well, Anders is going to go into more detail about it, but spoiler alert, it's Arvid Soderblom and Spencer Knight's net for the foreseeable future, even with 3 healthy NHL goalies on the roster for the time being. So that was a big little I did it again. A big news break from Sorensen there regarding the goalies. So, I think that's an interesting bit going forward because we didn't know what was going to happen with the 3-goalie rotation, and he lays it out pretty clearly. So, definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Whether you need to carry 3 goalies beyond Friday is another thing, but for now, it's going to be the 2 young guys going forward.
Waive Peter Mrazek and have him get the Ice Hogs in the playoffs.
Doesn't sound like that's an option, but
it's always an option.
Oh, it's an option. I just don't know if they'll do it. They're too respectful. Mike Cullum. Speaking of that, Mario wrote about the little rumblings of Frank Saravalli today. Go check that out at allchgo.com. All right, Mario, we will talk to you. We are no show tomorrow. I'll be at practice covering it, so if any news breaks, we'll be all over it. But I will see you in person on Friday.
No show planned for tomorrow.
That's right. As of now. As of this moment.
We'll see what happens.
Right. Thanks, man.
See you guys.
All right, that's Mario Tirabassi live from the United Center. We appreciate him. And again, check out his story on the latest trade rumblings at allchgo.com. I think Sarah has or will throw that link into the chat if you're in the chat with us right now. And if you are, that means you're on YouTube, which means you should smash that like button. We've gotten over 175 for your birthday. All right. Can we make it 200? I think we can.
1 like for every year it feels like I've been alive.
Fair enough. All right, let's get to Andrew Sorensen, and then when it's over, I promise we will try to make you feel better about Connor Bedard. Here's Andrew Sorensen postgame.
You guys battled in this one, so a tough way for it to end.
Yeah, third period, second, third period, good, right? And show some resilience to come back in that game, a team that's hard to score against, and found a way to tie it up.
Did you get any explanation on the game winner?
It didn't. It's none. We can't, we thought it was goalie interference, but, they called a good goal on the ice, and they looked at it, and then that was it.
Do you see anything with maybe a kicking motion as well on that?
But that was, I think, on accidentally maybe, but his stick kind of goes through Sodi, right? So, I don't know if he's pushed in there, if that's what they're seeing or what.
You guys starting to feel a little cursed on these reviewed goals?
A little bit, yeah. It seems to be hard to, anything that if they call it a goal on the ice, it doesn't seem to come back very well.
How would you assess the team play?
What's that?
How would you assess the team play?
I thought the second and third period was good. I thought we were tentative in the first period for whatever reason again. And it wasn't even the whole first period, but the first 10, 12 minutes again, is similar to the LA game, right? So for whatever reason, we come out a little tentative and don't take enough initiatives. And then when we do, then I thought it was much better. So the last 4 to 5 minutes of the game, I thought was good. Overall, didn't give up much. We didn't get much, but it was, tight check that way.
Well, that good shot goal. What did you want defensively? That was the opening goal.
On the tip goal?
Good shot.
Yeah. Well, I think they got 4 guys up high, so we kind of vacated the net. We had 1D there, and we couldn't find the stick there.
I know I asked you at the last home game about Ethan Delmastro, seeing his role elevate. I think he led the team in ice time tonight. I mean, it seems like every game he's getting more responsibility. What did you see from him tonight that led you to be confident enough to push him out there every other shift?
Much of the same, right? Like, I think his poise with the puck, his ability to kind of hang on to pucks under pressure, right? He doesn't, he's got the poise. He's willing to kind of absorb a hit and hang on to it and spin off it and make a play out of it. And he sees the game, he sees the ice real well, and a lot of stops defensively. He gets a lot of stops, which is huge.
What were you not seeing from Athanasiou there?
Several things, but kind of dressed up with him.
With the goalies, how are you going to be doing this going forward? Is it going to be a straight rotation, all 3 of them, 2 of them? Like, what's your methodology going to be here? We have, Spencer's going to go, and then it's going to be him and Sodi here for a little bit, see how that plays out. So with those 2 guys, and then whoever's playing well is going to go. How is Mrazek handling that?
It's good. He's a pro.
What led to that decision to go with those 2?
Well, it's tough when you have 3. You got to find some type of rotation, right? But we feel like Sodi has played well, and Peter's been good too. throughout the year. But Spencer coming in, and obviously it's tough to play 3 goals. You can't play 3 goals. So we're gonna go with those 2 right now, and then things can change. But those are the 2 guys.
Is there any thought to sending Peter on waivers under Rockford or anything like that?
What about Donato's play in these 6-game point streak, 3 straight games with a goal?
Yeah, he's been good. Offensively, really good. I think that line has been really good overall. So we're really, obviously him and Tabo has played real well, Mickey. So yeah, they're finding some chemistry and they're making things happen offensively. Yeah.
What could happen at the deadline, but how much are you hoping come Friday night you still have him at your disposal and possibly in your lineup?
Out of our hands, right? Out of
Sure.
my hands, but yeah, I mean, we like him. He's been good for us, So.
I mean, it's not really out of your hands.
I think he forgets that he's the coach and he gets to make these decisions.
He doesn't make the trades, but he could probably go in there and say, I would prefer you not do this.
But just like the other day when I really hope Landon Slaggert stays on this line. You could totally make sure that happens.
Sounds like you got some say in that. All right, we got to get to Bedard. I know we got a couple more super chats we want to get to too. Unit B Media, $5 says it's a shame all the pressure the Chicago media NHL has put on Bedard. Somebody dropped the ball with that kid to keep his exposure in check. Okay, we can get to that a little bit. Edward First with a $20 super chat says, I don't understand. I'm kind of novice on hockey, but it seemed to me the line with Nazar, Bedard, and Bertuzzi was one of the most comfortable, and they seem to click. Why mess with that? Bedard development is most important. I think with that one, they wanted to give Colton Dach a reward for having a good game. I am team give Connor line mates and let them cook for a little while, but that's why I'm in this chair.
I think a lot of the Connor Bedard, I mean, I'm going to say it concerned. If you're worried about Connor Bedard, I think that's a little much.
He is still like the second youngest player in the NHL.
Right. And as I tell people, he's, 7-8 games now without a point.
He hasn't scored since the Four Nations.
So he went through a streak like that earlier in the year and then got it going. He's a guy that up until last year has not dealt with not being the best player, not only on his team, in whatever league he's in, whatever tournament he's playing in. He's always been the best player. So now he's still dealing with not being the best player every night. And that's got to take a mental toll on a kid. And when his confidence is shook, it goes bad. But when he gets that swagger back, you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these problems are going to go away when the kid gets a real coach at the NHL level for the first time. You need a guy this is why the coaching hire is the most important thing this summer.
Agreed.
And this is why, as much as I think David Carl is a really good coach where he's at, and maybe one day he's going to be a great NHL coach, you have to bring in a guy here that has done it before with success, so that he can go to Connor Bedard when he's having his little mopey moments on the bench and go, hey, kid, suck it up. It's okay. I like what you did here. Like somebody who has told Sidney Crosby or, Nikita Kucherov in Game 7s of Stanley Cup Finals what to do, and they listened and it worked. Somebody that's got that kind of credibility in here. A lot will change for Bedard when, he has better talent around him, and when he has a real NHL coach, a guy that's done it before. Anders Sorensen is a really good developmental coach. He's really good. He loves his practices.
Yeah.
He loves repetition until you get it right. That's not what you need for, he's fine in the interim, but Connor Bedard needs that real coach, that guy that has won at the NHL level, not once, but for a long time, that carries that respect and that knowledge, and knows what to do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has been we're just going to let Connor Bedard go out and be Connor Bedard. He needs better coaching.
I want a coach that will, and this is going to come off wrong, but I want a coach that will stand up to him. Yeah. And if he's because we've heard a couple things. I know Seth said something about when he was interviewed in Florida about hey, here, We've got 5 guys in the right spot all the time, playing as a team. Pat Maroon kind of alluded to that too. Like, hey, some of the guys in this room could watch Ryan Donato and learn how to play the right way. I don't think that's 100% about Connor Bedard, but there are times out there where Bedard is doing his own thing, which is why you drafted him, because he's capable of doing that, and he plays with the confidence to do it. But sometimes you got to just stick with the team game, especially when things are not going well. And just by playing in the system, playing north and south, you're going to find success because, yes, it's true, Connor Bedard doesn't have great line mates, but neither does Ryan Donato. Neither does Teuvo Teravainen. Neither does Frank Nazar. Neither does Craig Smith. But they're scoring. They're getting it done. They're getting the job done. So I think there's a little bit of, from the coaching standpoint, of, oh, we don't want to put too much pressure on him. We don't want to have expectations too high. And I feel like they're not coaching him the same way they're coaching the rest of the players.
Right.
And Bedard from day one has said, I just want to be another player. I don't want special treatment. I don't seek special treatment. I want to be a regular dude on this team. I just want to play hockey and play it well. And I feel like there's been a little bit of this kid gloves thing, which is why I kind of reacted the way I did to the super chat from, I forgot the name, B Unit Media, I think it was. The media is not putting pressure on Connor Bedard.
No.
They're not.
Definitely
if
not
anything,
the Chicago media.
the Chicago beat, and I'm pointing the thumb at myself too, has done nothing but stand up for him when fans on social media and fans in the chat and people online have been like, this kid sucks. He's burned out. He wants out of Chicago. That's where the noise is coming from. The NHL is not. Maybe you could talk about Biz and Messier and Subban and like those guys on that big stage pointing out his mistakes. Fine. But they're analyzing a player. Connor Bedard understands that. Connor Bedard is not a soft little weak-minded kid. He's not. He is ready and willing to be coached. The Hawks just have to find someone with the nads to say, hey, not good enough. And you know what? Like, you had a bad game. You turned the puck over too much. So I'm taking your ice time down a little bit tonight. There has to be consequences for him.
That's how you get to a kid like that.
Yes.
That all he wants to do is play hockey, skip a shift if you have to.
Right, and I don't think
not on the power play like Mark Messier said.
But he's clearly trying to do too much and clearly trying to make it all happen on his own.
And that's a product for never having anybody on his wings.
Yes.
Where you talk about, like, sorry to interrupt you,
you're
like
fine.
Seth Jones saying
it's conversation.
5 guys, weird. 5 guys on the ice knowing where to be. All it takes is one guy being out of place and it all goes to shit.
Yeah.
So when you're on a line with Colton Dock and Frank Nazar, 2 rookies, it's not going to take much for one of those guys to get out of position and then it all breaks down.
Right.
And so get the kids some real coaching and some better teammates and things will be fine. Point of reference. Nathan McKinnon, you heard of him?
Yes.
You think he's been pretty good?
Yes.
You think he was worthy of the number 1 overall pick?
I do.
Okay. After his rookie season of 24 goals and 63 points, sounds a little familiar.
Mm-hmm.
He did that in all 82 games. His second season at age 19, he had 14 goals and 38 points. Now, he had an injury that year, so he missed about 18 games.
Okay. But that's about the same base.
Yeah. He was not a point-per-game player till his 5th season.
And I wonder if you were to compare that Avalanche roster with this one, how it would look. And you're also talking about, go look at Nathan McKinnon. Just Google, like, Nathan McKinnon rookie, and look at the difference in the person physically from then to now. Like, there's still so much growth. And I think a big point that you made, Greg, and I want to make sure that this is reiterated enough. This is the first time that Connor Bedard has not been the best player on the ice. Ever. Even, McKinnon probably had some guys that were peers of his on equal footing, right? Crosby, probably not. McDavid, probably not. But your average first-round pick kind of guy, or first overall pick kind of guy, still, you look at Owen Power. Buffalo might trade Owen Power. It takes time. Buffalo would be stupid to do so, for the record.
Well, Buffalo has the long track record of being stupid.
But it's just, these guys have to learn, okay, how do I adjust when I struggle? And this is a kid who has never struggled in his life.
You want to know who Nathan McKinnon's prime line mates were that 5th season where he finally became a point-per-game player?
Yes, I would.
On his left wing was Gabriel Landeskog.
Pretty good.
On his right wing, Mikko Rantanen.
Decent.
Hey, we can get Mikko Rantanen for Connor Bedard's left wing next season.
I think Landeskog might be available too.
Maybe to be broadcaster. So better players. That was also Jared Bednar's first year as coach. And yeah, he was a first-year guy, but he's turned out to be a pretty darn good coach.
Yes.
So, yes, I think the expectations for Bedard to be elite Hart Trophy winning guy right out of the box, those were too high. Is this season point-wise disappointing? Yeah, a little bit.
I would say so.
Especially when he had
Fair.
that streak in was that December, January, where he went on that bit of a
right
heater.
before the Four Nations.
Right, where you're like, oh, okay, there it is. Like, so there's a lot of factors, but the fact that he's even got as many points as he's got this year on this team should get you excited. Like that, you're like, oh, okay, so get him a coach, get him some talent, and just let things progress.
Yeah.
Let him get in, he's still not even filled out his body yet. He still hasn't even figured out the NHL. These things take time. Look at the Nathan McKinnon trajectory. Look at the Jack Hughes trajectory. Very similar. Jack Hughes and Connor Bedard are very similar type players. Those worked out okay.
So he's on a 64-point pace over 82. Patrick Kane, as a rookie, had 72 points. Pretty good. Patrick Kane's teammates, his rookie year.
I hear they give you Calder trophies for 72 points as a rookie.
Yes. Patrick Kane's teammates that year. Patrick Sharp, Robert Lang, Jonathan Taves, Dustin Bufflin, Brent Seabrook, Duncan Keith, Martin Havlat, my guy, Tuomo Ruutu.
All those guys are
Dave Boland.
better than what,
Yes.
that is a much better team.
Yes.
Yes. 2008, Robert Lang would be the second best player on this team.
He was
Lang was a
37 years old.
Yeah, and still pretty
and
good.
had 54 points. He was third in the team in scoring behind Kane and Sharp.
Yeah. Robert Lang was a damn good hockey player.
Yes.
Hated him on the Penguins.
Yeah, he was like new era Ron Francis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good player. Like that roster is so much better than what Bedard's had to play with. So, yes, it's frustrating. Yes, you can be concerned about it, but I wouldn't be losing sleep. If Connor Bedard was on the Colorado Avalanche roster and only having, 16 goals, then you can be like, okay, what's going on here? But
yeah, it'll be all right.
Yeah, I think next year, if the offseason goes the way I hope it does, and a lot of people are saying it's going to, next year should probably be, a lot better.
I would think so. All right, 2 more super chats. Young Dangle God says, re-sign Kaner. Gives us $1. Thank you. We love you for your constant
That's
dollars.
Young Dangle God Jr., I believe.
You have
young
a baby?
The young couple had they wasted no time and had a younger Dangle God. Not young Dangle God Jr., but younger Dangle God.
Young Dangle Messiah.
And he did not say re-sign Kaner. He doesn't even know what that is.
And Adrian Cherico says 2 soft goals and 1 fluke for Soderblom. Knight sitting on the bench. We got robbed by the coaches and the refs. That's a $50 super chat. Thank you, Adrian. We got a lot of why didn't Spencer Knight play tonight? They have 3 games in 4 nights.
Yeah.
He's going to play Friday.
You also don't want to kill a guy as soon as you get him.
Yes.
Like, dude had to make 41 saves in his first game. He didn't make 41 saves in the entire month of January playing for the Panthers.
Right.
Like, give him some time to get used to being. Let him settle in.
Yes, let him
get an apartment.
Catch his breath.
Get to know the coaches and his teammates.
Yes.
It's okay.
Have a practice.
It's okay. He'll play Friday against Utah, and then Soderblom will play Saturday against Nashville. Then the rest of that road trip is spaced out. So he'll probably play 2 out of those 3 remaining games.
I would think
it'll be
so.
fine. Like, yeah, I know we're excited. Great first game. You want to see him out there. they didn't really lose this game because of Arvid Soderblom. You can argue about that last, but they got outchanced. And here's a stat that, I looked at before the game. It caught my eye. The Ottawa Senators came into this game with 89 5-on-5 goals, the fewest in the NHL. And they scored all 3 of their goals 5-on-5.
Wow.
So if you would have told me the Blackhawks don't take a single penalty against the worst 5-on-5 scoring team in the league, you win that game. Instead, you give up 3 5-on-5 goals. It's not good.
I saw our buddy Tom Fornelli on Twitter said, every Hawks game from here on out, when Soderblom lets in a goal, Knight would have saved that.
Well, real. I mean, I think after seeing Knight, and if he's that good on here on out, I think the Arvid Soderblom buzz is going to die down quite a bit.
Well, that's something we were going to get to, but we sort of ran out of time for it. But we'll save that for another show. Sarah, do we have our winner for the 4-star?
We do.
Tell me it was the big rig.
Yes, I don't think it's any surprise tonight.
Hell yeah. Pat Maroon is the 4-star of the game with a beautiful assist to Craig Smith after a really nice in-tight dangle show. Really nice job for him. And just chatted up with Linus Ullmark. How's your wife and my kids on the ice with Ullmark? He was mic'd up today.
Saw your wife last night. Hell of a dancer.
Wearing a zebra skin jockstrap. That's a different movie. Anyway, congrats to Pat Maroon. I'm sure he's thrilled to learn that he is the 4-star of the game. And he will win a Seiko watch, courtesy of... No, that's not true. Who used to do that? Who used to give away the watch to
was it the leadoff man? The 10th inning show.
Hey, multi-million-dollar baseball player. Here's a $40 watch.
To be fair, it was back in the 80s when those guys weren't making nearly as much money. But still, like, what are they going to do? Here's a $50 gift card to Cooper's Hawk, guy that makes $9 million a year.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. The more you make, the less you pay for. Yes. Another super chat just came in. We'll get to it from Chance. Does Spencer Knight play Friday? Yes, he does.
Yes.
Odds we see some new faces Friday with the deadline. If so, who do you predict? I don't know. I think Donato's gone. So if they get a player for Donato, I can't imagine that player will play Friday unless they make the trade tomorrow.
Well, we also have to remember Nick Foligno will probably be back Friday, and Dickinson and Kurashev also both skated today and took part of morning skate in non-contact jerseys. So anybody that gets traded is probably getting replaced by those guys. And Andrus Athanasiou is going to go back to Rockford and probably Colton Dock.
Yeah, he was scratched for the entire third period.
I didn't even realize he was out there for the first 2 periods. You could have told me he was scratched the entire game, and I would have believed you.
All right. Hey, we appreciate everybody being here. 220 likes for Greg's birthday. Really appreciate that. If you've not hit the like button yet, do it. Hit it for us. We'd appreciate that as well. Merrick says Friday, 2 p.m. deadline. Yes. Yes, indeed. Mario and I will be on the air from 1 until we feel it's time to stop. 2:30, 2:45, 3-ish. We'll see what trickles in. But we will be all over the trade deadline from 1 to at least 2:30. And when we're not on, our pals at What Chaos will be on for 24 hours starting tomorrow night. So take a break from What Chaos and watch us for those 3 hours or 2 hours and then switch to those guys again. Should be fun.
Sure.
Best day of the year. Trade deadline.
24 hours to talk about 0 trades.
I know.
They've all been made.
It's starting to look that way. All right. We'll talk to everybody Friday. But again, if anything happens tomorrow, we'll be on it. No worries. I know I'm going to practice. Not sure about Mario. So we'll be all over the Hawks news tomorrow. It's a busy week here on CHGO Blackhawks.
We all silly like the mayor.